News that comes in your face twice weekly. CNT News.
Good evening and welcome to CNT News. My name is Kami Sutra and you join us this evening on Friday, the 25th of January. Now this week we've been discussing toxic masculinity, a set of behaviours adopted by a subset of men that is now considered toxic. Whether it's interrupting someone's conversation or taking risks, on average, these traits are traditionally masculine, or shall we say, boisterous. Now, assuming this to be true, what kind of behaviours could we consider to be toxically feminine?
Me Too went off the rails when it could have done good, in part because of what actually can be toxic in women. The same way men can go violent, few of them do, but it's bad. Women are much less likely to go physically violent, or on average smaller and not as strong. Of course we're not as likely to have used physical violence as our weapon, right? Men are more likely to have used physical violence as their weapon when they went violent. Women are much more likely to use wiles and sexuality, because especially for young women, that is where their power is.
Ha! And you thought I was kidding about toxic femininity. It's an actual thing. It just comes in a different shape to the masculine variety. Anyway, let's take a look at this toxic femininity in action.
And when your son looks at you and says, "Mama, look, you won," bullies don't win. And I said, "Baby, they don't, because we're gonna go in there and we're gonna impeach the motherfucker."
Now, last week, the surprise news emerged that a new Ghostbusters movie's on the way. Ghostbusters 3. And it's returning to its roots of the 1980s. Forgetting all about that shit, all-female 2016 version. And one of the 2016 cast is not very happy about this omission. She decided to whip out the toxic femininity, vent on Twitter, and even compared this omission to something Donald Trump would do. Yes, Leslie Jones is just highlighting how unfunny she actually is. But it's okay, because she, quote, doesn't give a fuck. And it's not just celebrities guilty. Toxic femininity can be found across the web. Take live streaming platform Twitch, famed for gaming. Or I should say, was famed for gaming, because now the people that are receiving the most success are Twitch thoughts. Now, Cami, what is a Twitch thought? Take a look.
That's not a fucking compliment, dude. When you're putting other people down, to say that I'm doing something better than them, or like some holier than thou attitude, when other people are not doing anything wrong, and it's just what you judge to be wrong, that's not a compliment. You can get out of here with that. There's the door. Don't put down people that I consider my peers and my friends and people that I respect by thinking that what I'm doing is better just because of the way I'm dressed. Because that doesn't mean anything. Like, get out of here with that. We're not defined by what we wear, but what we do.
Don't you know how to wear a hoodie correctly? I know how to wear it correctly. But I also like guys a lot, and I want guys to look at me like a hot piece of meat. So I wear it like that because I know my place as a woman. Clearly you don't know yours as a guy.
Toxic femininity in all of its glory. And it's caused many gamers to lose faith in the platform due to double standards and ambiguous terms and conditions. And it's not just in the online sphere where gamers are falling victim to toxic femininity. It's now creeping into the real world for them.
You're gonna give me my fucking money back.
Excuse me, sir. There's a young man in here. And you're watching
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
I'm sorry.
It is ma'am.
I can call the police if you'd like me to. You need to settle down.
You need to settle down and mind your business, okay? Ma'am, once again, ma'am.
I said both of you.
No, you said sir. Once again, it's ma'am.
I actually said both of you guys. It was a general.
Right beforehand, you fucking said sir.
Sir? Okay.
Motherfucker, take it outside. If you want to call me sir again, I will show you a fucking sir.
I apologize.
Motherfucker.
I apologize now.
Now, all joking aside, as we found out at the tippy top of the show, toxic masculinity tends to be of a more physical nature, whereas toxic femininity revolves around sexuality, manipulation, and the weaponization of language. And as we all know, there's no better place to find the weaponization of language than in politics.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
We came, we saw, he died. We came.
She'll cut your head off and you won't even know you're bleeding. That's all you need to know about her.
And here we are, 2019, the year of political fucking mayhem. However, amongst Brexit and the government shutdown, there has been one person who has been flaunting her toxic femininity at every opportunity she can. Yes, enter Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Straight out of the block, utilising all of the femininity at her disposal to command attention.
Well, I think that it only has ever been radicals that have changed this country.
Now, as a 33-year-old man, I can tell you, those eyes, see those eyes? I've seen those eyes. Those puppy dog eyes. I've seen those eyes 1,000,000 times. And what I will tell you, trust me, if anyone tries to manipulate you using the puppy dog eyes, the best thing you can do is run like fuck. Although, with this one, her eyes are only part of the manipulation. It's the bullshit that comes out of her mouth that should concern you.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And, this is the war. This is our World War II.
12 years and the world will end. I'd imagine the people of Britain will probably still be awaiting Brexit by that point. But to make matters worse, she then went on to compare our current plight to that of those who suffered in the Second World War. AOC has compared the difficulties faced by our heroic descendants, such as fighting in trenches. She's compared that to the modern-day millennial having to recycle their trash. A prime example of why you can't be president until you're 35. A lack of experience. But where do these bizarre beliefs and statements spawn from? That's where we're going to turn to AOC's home state. To a man who pretty shortly may well be paying 70% tax. Yes, let's pass to Trent Stone.
Thanks, Cammie. The U.S. Congress is in session, and it's filled with a bunch of fresh-faced Democrats. And mainstream America doesn't yet know what to think of these mostly progressive-minded newcomers. These new Congress people have Washington's political elite very worried for one good reason. They're mostly millennials.
We're lazy, we're really entitled, and we want to make a lot of money and have free education, but we're not really willing to put in the work.
Now Americans are right to be concerned about millennials because this group contains the toxic combination of idealistic opinions and hardly any real-world experience to back up their unrealistic expectations.
Pundits love to cite soccer participation trophies and the downfall of the Western civilization, but it gets even worse.
Now, Cammie, I'm told the most famous of these first-term congressmen is actually a congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Oh, I'm sorry, as a news reporter, I'm supposed to pronounce it Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC for short. Why is a junior congresswoman with zero legislative experience getting so much attention? Twitter. That's right, like many wannabe politicians have already figured out, Twitter is an excellent way to wield influence even if you don't have any.
Oftentimes, the most righteous thing you can do is shake the table.
And as a millennial, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is using Twitter to do effective things such as clap back, slam, shout out, and dance. These are things her older political colleagues just can't do. Now it's too soon to tell if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be an effective legislator for her district and America. But one thing is sure, she knows how to tweet. And if President Trump has shown the world anything, it's that after 5 or 6 years of tweeting and perhaps a hit TV show, you too can be president.
I don't know what I said.
Trent Stone, CNT News.
Trent, thank you. Trent Stone reporting there, giving a little insight into the fairy tale world of AOC. AOC, having your name abbreviated like that, is a clear sign that you're deemed acceptable by the establishment. Trent did pick up on another point, the way that news reporters refer to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The inclusion of the accent. It has a name. It's called hyperforeignism. It happens all the time, especially in restaurants. If you are in a French patisserie, it's common for a British person to walk in and ask for a croissant. And it's the same in Italy. Walk into an Italian restaurant, you'll hear many people ask for the tagliatelle, as if it makes them somehow superior. Although, you never hear anyone doing it when they walk into a Chinese restaurant, do you? We'll see you after the break.
Sometimes you need cannabis, the real sticky icky.
It's our belief that you're such a stupid motherfucker. You'll fall for this bullshit. Guaranteed. If you find a better deal, shove it up your ugly ass. You heard us right. Shove it up your ugly ass.
Welcome back to CNT News. Now, after a healthy dose of toxicity this week, how about we take a little break and discuss something a little more light-hearted? Yes, our next report takes a look at the ongoing drug epidemic. In London this week, most of the news has been focused around Brexit. And don't worry, we're going to spare you, mainly because fuck all has changed. Still no agreement, and still a cry for a loser's vote. But one story we did pick up on this week was that the eels found in London's famous river, the Thames, are said to have become hyperactive. And the cause of this hyperactivity? Cocaine. A team of scientists studied wastewater entering the River Thames and discovered that compared to other major cities, the level of cocaine found in London's water system is far higher. It's mainly passed through urine, by the way. Yes. And across the Atlantic, the drugs problem isn't much better. Where a federal agent known for his expensive tastes has been implicated in a multi-million-dollar conspiracy involving the cartel he was tasked in taking down. And wouldn't you believe it, it was in Colombia, the home of cocaine. Colombia, the second home of our very own Shazza Breaknews. And this week, Shazza reached out to one of her DEA contacts to find out more about this increased demand in cocaine. So let's pass to Sharon Breaknews.
Where are we, Mike? We're lost, aren't we? Bloody hell. I think they're calling for me. Shit. That's right, Cammy. I am here in the depths of a Colombian jungle. CNT has got an exclusive access and an interview to the drug lords that are hiding in this very dense Colombian jungle. Mike and I have just trekked through hours of a very dangerous terrain to get a report to you, to CNT. Mike, who are these people? Where the hell are we? They look like tourists. Bloody hell, are we in the right place? We're not. What have we been doing? We've been trekking all around for hours. Oh, Cammy, Sharon Breaknews, nothing to report again. For CNT, over to you.
Sharon Breaknews reporting there on a cocaine epidemic not to be sniffed at. Now, for our final report this evening, we come full circle and arrive back at toxic masculinity. Now, as we've already covered, toxic masculinity tends to be of a physical nature. And it's this physical, competitive nature that we not only see in the sports we enjoy, but we see it in the traits of our favourite athletes. And I think it's fair to say, if toxic masculinity is a thing, then it's going to be found in abundance in the many sports arenas we find across the planet. And not only in the sportsmen themselves, but also in the fans. And none are more boisterous than boxing fans. Through the years, we've seen many a brutal fight in the ring, with injuries a certainty and death a real possibility. Boxers exude many of the traits that we associate with toxic masculinity, but we love them for it. Which is where we're going to turn to Les Whitlock, who this week has really made a fist of it and managed to grab a few words with the son of a legend. Yes, let's pass to Les Whitlock.
Hey everyone, hi, it's Les Whitlock, and I'm here in a secret training location of Jerry Cooney's son. Now, if you know, Jerry Cooney was a very tall, lumbering boxer in the 80s who was thought to be the Great White Hope. And this is Jerry Cooney's son, and they've invited us in to his training facility. So please give me a moment. Les Whitlock, CNT News reporting from Washington, D.C. Can I come in, Mr. Cooney? Here we are, folks. We're inside. This is Jerry Cooney's son training facility. Hello, tell everyone here in the audience at CNT who you are, a little bit about your background, and what your plans are for the heavyweight title here.
I'm Jerry Cooney's son, Ricky.
Ricky Cooney for CNT News. We're here on location at his
They
training
call me
facility.
hockey teeth, but then they realized I can also fight. I'm a good fighter.
Oh, folks, look at the speed at the bag that Cooney's son has. Oh.
I lost these teeth playing hockey here in the States. Listen to me, S's. States.
Tell us, Ricky, when you'll be fighting and on what channel for our viewers here at CNT. Tell us, Ricky.
The beach is that way.
What channel will the fight be broadcast and who will you be fighting?
Fighting Sugar Ray Leonard's fat, retarded son, Jennard. And then I'm gonna beat your ass while I'm at it.
Oh, I'm Les Whitlock, CNT News, folks. That's all we have time for tonight. In the secret location, Ricky Cooney fighting.
Who would have guessed it? Toxic masculinity just made you smile. And that is about all we have time for this week. A huge thank you to you, the viewer at home. A huge thank you to my pernicious reporters across the planet. We live in a world where language is weaponized to create divisions amongst us. These divisions can often be accentuated through the addition of carefully choreographed images to evoke reactions in people. We are a world full of men and women. And it's through celebrating our differences and working together that we will really change this one. So join us next week to see if our politicians can follow suit. Probably not. Don't have nightmares, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Who did? Who cares?
The truth is, this shutdown is about the erosion of American democracy and the subversion of our most basic governmental norms.
Do you really genuinely fear that what Parliament are doing is breaking down trust in the entire democratic process?
When I say make America great again, it could never be done without you. Great people.